Hi everyone, and welcome to part 5.5 of the Poke and Prod tutorial. In this video, we're just going to go over bits and pieces of functionality in some small areas, so I don't expect this to take too long. These are important so that when you implement this stuff and put it with Grassy Map and Audio Manager and the Cinemachine, everything works smoothly. So the first thing we're gonna do is handle stuff for the Audio Manager. So first you're gonna enable this. And then go into the player script and start adding exactly where the audio is played. You don't have to worry too much on how the audio works. There'll be labs on that if you're interested. Or feel free to come to us if you have questions. But if you want it to work in the game, we're just gonna add some stuff. First thing we're gonna do is go into the attack routine. Right around when we start the animation, we're also gonna start some sound effects. So the line you can type is find object of type Audio Manager. You're gonna make sure to use parentheses. And then you're gonna put .type play. And then make sure you type this in correctly. It's player attack, and make sure you capitalize both the first P and this A for attack. You can verify that this is in fact the correct name if you go back and you go to Audio Manager and you click on Player Attack. This is the name. So just make sure that these match. Second thing we're gonna do, when the player takes damage. So take damage, you want to go here, and we are going to put that and call it sound effect. Same thing, we're gonna find object of this type. And you can just copy and paste this. Find object of type Audio Manager, play, and player hurt, and verify that it's the correct one. The last one is if you lose, if the player dies. Now, the first thing we're gonna do, before we destroy any object, make sure I'm gonna copy and paste that, and it's just called death sound effect. And then let's go check that it is player death. Capital P, capital D. We can go check these out right now. So go to your game and save the scene. Make sure your Audio Manager is enabled. So go to the check mark next to the name field and make sure that it is in fact checked. And you can't hear it through the video for some reason, but you should be able to hear it through your own headphones. It makes a little whoosh sound. Okay, now if you let the ghost run into us, it makes a really loud ugh sound. And if you want, you can check the player death one. First thing we're gonna do is duplicate the enemy to do that. On Mac, it's Command D once you have selected the enemies with D, and then drag it to somewhere else. On PC, it most likely is Control D. We should get hit twice, and then there should be a really loud ooh sound. Alright, next we're gonna do the same things for the enemies. So first, we're gonna go to the enemy script. In the enemy script, we're gonna do explode. So on explode, we're just gonna do exactly what we did earlier. So call audio manager for explosion sound. And then we're gonna do the same thing for when it gets hurt. So take damage. I want to call it there, and this one is ghost hurt. The last one is potion, but you guys will do that when you actually implement potions. Let's go test out the enemy. So now that we've implemented the audio manager, let's go into Grassy Map and make sure everything works as intended. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna click pressing that, and we're gonna notice that everything has disappeared. So if we're gonna try to find our player, we're going to zoom in and he's not there. Or well, they're behind the map. And that is due to sorting layers, a way for figuring out which sprite should be in front of the other. And the way we fix this is that we go to player, and we go to the sprite render, and we go to the sorting layer. We've already made some fields, and usually you have to make this yourself, but we've given you some. And you're just gonna add this to player. You'll notice that there's a specific order to how these are ordered. So environment is at the top, and this is the back of the map, and this is the front. So highest priority and lowest priority in showing up. And that's just how you can tell which sprites will be in front of the other. So environment just goes on since we're on the player, and we're gonna set this to player. And now you can see. Click on the enemy, and we're gonna do the same thing. So sprite render, sorting layer, enemy. You can verify that grassy map if you click on environment sorting layer, and it should be environment. So everything is where it should be. Alright, we are almost done, and we have one last thing to do, and that is to set up the Cinemachine. So we're gonna go to CMVCam1. We're gonna check that. And then on main camera, you're going to Cinemachine Brain Script, and you're gonna turn it on. This makes sure that everything is in place. We're gonna go through this and make sure everything is as it should be, and make sure it looks like this. For CMVCam1, for follow, make sure you drag the player object and drop it onto the follow area. After that, you should be able to play the scene, regardless of where you start your player. What we gave to you was the player was down here. And then we spawn some enemies. First, let's make sure the enemy is a prefab. So go to prefabs and drag enemy in. And now we can just spawn that wherever it is. I'm gonna put one over here, one over there to guard the entrance, and two over here. And we should be good to go. Now you have 5 enemies you want to fit. And to organize this more, I'm gonna do one last thing. I'm gonna right click on hierarchy, and I'm going to create empty and name this enemies. This is just a super easy way to keep track of all your enemies in the same place. So just select all of them and just drag them into the enemies. And now save your scene and let's see if this works. They should be able to move around. Sound effects are working, they can walk everywhere, and if you walk too close to the ghosts, they chase you. If you hit them, they make a really loud screeching noise, and you get exploded. Okay, and that is all. Thank you all for listening to the first 5.5 videos, and I hope you have a fun time with the next ones as well.